Welcome to this podcast, Holistic Creators, where we share our unique and universal stories about shaping the future for the 4 Ps: people, planet, purpose, and profit. My name is Swanette Kuntze. I'm a mental coach and your host of this show. My intention for this show is to inspire you on your path to a holistic future. So welcome. Welcome to my podcast, Holistic Creators. My name is Swanette and I'm your host. Today my guest is Rachel Scheer. She is a relationship coach at Love, Leisure. She helps singles find love, and she just wrote a book called Date to Find Your Soulmate. You can get it on Amazon starting February the 2nd, 2021. So welcome to my show. Hello, Rachel.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, and today we have a great topic. We will speak about love and we will speak about how to find a soulmate. So I'm totally curious because I think this could also be a topic for me, but I'm sure this is a topic for a lot of people in the audience, not only having a relationship, but really finding the one. So how did you come up with this topic, or did this topic find you?
Well, I have had a lot of dating in my life. I spent many, many years dating. I had hundreds of first dates, and I got really good at weeding out all the losers among the bunch. So I had so many crazy dating experiences, and about 12 years ago, I became a relationship coach because I love helping people find their soulmates. So with all my experience and knowledge, I ended up writing a book about it because I wanted everyone to know how important it is to find your soulmate and how easy it can be if you follow my methods. So that's why I wrote a book, Date to Find Your Soulmate. There are 20 chapters, all that have really helpful lessons. And then within each chapter, I tell personal stories that relate to each lesson. I talk about all the mistakes that I've made, which is why I was single for so long. And then I explain how you can find a much faster, clearer path to your soulmate if you just follow my steps.
Okay, so I'm curious about to hear 1 or 2 stories. So what happened when you said you met hundreds of guys and to figure out, okay, this is not the one I want to spend my life with. So can you tell me a little bit about, what happened to you? So what have been your experiences?
Well, if you read my book, you'll see that I explain a lot of experiences, some with one date. It's like one date and then that was it. And then some of the guys, maybe I dated for a few weeks or a few months, or in some cases, even a few years before I realized that they were wrong for me. So I wasted a lot of time with the wrong men. And I want to prevent others from making that same mistake of wasting multiple years with someone that's not your soulmate, because then it will just take you longer until you reach your goal of happiness and true love.
Yeah.
I have one chapter about red flags. So there you can see red flags early on in dating, like sometimes in the first date. I told one story of a first date I went on where every single thing the guy did was a huge red flag. And it was our only date, obviously, because he did everything wrong in my book. And then I told another story about a guy that I went on a few dates with, and it wasn't until I looked back on it until I realized, oh, he told me something that was a red flag early on, but I ignored it because I really liked him and I didn't think it would become an issue. But then I realized it really was.
Okay, can you go a little bit more into details? What are these kind of red flags that you experienced, for example, in this one and last date you had with this guy?
Well, he started out he showed up an hour late. He looked very disheveled and untidy, even though I've seen him before wearing suits and looking very handsome, but he did not put in any effort for our date. He also had a really bad cold and he should have just canceled if he was sick. I didn't want to go out with someone who was coughing all over me. He was rude. He didn't pay attention to me. He got completely drunk on our date. We went out to dinner and he forgot his wallet, so I had to pay. He was rude to the waiter. He ordered for me without asking what I wanted. He just did like everything, like one thing after another. He was just like, it was a ridiculous date. It was kind of humorous how many red flags I found.
Oh, this sounds more like this was like, we have a show in Germany called The Hidden Camera. And yeah, it is like, okay, people are observing what is going to happen. And so this is so strange. I couldn't even imagine that something like that could happen.
You know, I was living in Los Angeles at the time, so that thought actually crossed my mind. Like, maybe I'm being recorded right now. But I don't think I was.
No, otherwise you would have known it afterwards. But of course, so this was a for sure a situation where you say, okay, so many things, really red flags. No way that we want to meet again. But sometimes we meet someone and we have this feeling, okay, he's nice, and what he's telling us, it feels like we could spend more time with this guy. But after a while we figure out, no, he's not the one. So what about more like the orange flags? We don't really see the red.
That's a good question. So if there's an orange flag, if it's something that you're not sure about, I would say to give it another chance, because maybe you can talk to him about it and he can redeem himself or explain the orange flag and maybe he'll give an explanation that works for you. I don't even know what a good example would be but just something that's somewhat important to you, but he explains why it's not a big deal. And you either accept that or don't. It's completely up to you.
Yeah, okay. How would you define, like you said, finding the soulmate? This is not only finding someone who could be a partner for a while, or for even being your husband, but soulmate is for me something that has even a higher level. Can you describe it, what you mean with that?
Yeah, it's really hard to find. I believe that everybody has a few soulmates in life, and it doesn't all have to be romantic. You could have some friendships that you feel a soulmate connection with, or you might have a very short encounter with a soulmate and they just come into your life for a specific purpose and they're only there for a few days or weeks or whatever is needed to get you onto the right path. But there are few people that find their romantic soulmate, somebody that they feel completely connected to physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and they just have that really fulfilling connection. It's rare, but it is possible. There are many people that are in happy relationships where it's not with their soulmate, but that's okay. Like, if they're happy with the relationship they're in, then that's great for them. But if you strive to find your soulmate, it takes a little more deep work. You have to figure out exactly who you are and what you want in a partner. And if you are patient and open to the possibility, then I believe you can find your soulmate.
Okay, so this sounds like it all starts with me. Like, I'm not the one like looking outside, hunting the guys, but understanding, okay, who am I really? So what are my preferences? What is my mindset? What are my values? So is it something like first looking inside and then going out and having this kind of match, perhaps finding the soulmate? Can you give a little bit more about these?
Yeah, you're completely right. It is about going within. You have to be confident and comfortable in your own body, know who you are, and and understand your values and your relationship requirements, and just be very understanding of who you are as a person, because a lot of people just blame everyone else. They say like, I'm still single because everyone out there sucks, but maybe they suck. Maybe there's something wrong with them and they haven't done the work on themselves to figure out who they are before finding a partner that's ideal for them.
Okay, so what kind of work do I have to do? You already said being aware of my values and understanding what is. It sounds a little bit like a checklist. No, this and this and this I want to have in, but or a wish list. Yeah.
Well, in addition to reading my book, which I hope people do, I have an 8-week coaching course, which I guide you through the process of really digging deep into who you are, what your values are, what kind of relationship patterns you've had that are holding you back, limiting beliefs that you have, and then making a list of things that you absolutely require in a relationship. And I'll help you improve your dating skills and teach you where to go to find the right partner for you. So it's a sort of it goes hand in hand with my book. Like, reading my book is great. And then if you hire me for the 8-week coaching sessions, then you'll be on the right track for sure. I can't guarantee love for you. It's up to you to do the work. But if you let me guide you through the process, then you will find your soulmate.
Yeah. Yeah, you said blocking beliefs. I think a lot of people have this belief that they can only be happy if someone loves them, or perhaps that they are not good enough to find this special love, or other blocking beliefs. How is it possible to overcome them?
Well, it's not just, I can't just explain it in one sentence. It takes work. You have to change your mindset. You have to reframe your brain in a way. Because let's say you think, like, I'm not pretty enough to find love. You have to change it in your mind to say, like, I am beautiful and wonderful and amazing and I deserve love. And you have to say it out loud enough times until you believe it yourself. Because it's all about perception. Like, what you believe is your reality. So it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, getting rid of your limiting beliefs, but it is possible.
Yeah, we all know that thoughts create reality, and as long as you think, oh, I'm not pretty or I'm not worthy to have this kind of love, this also will come into your reality. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And
Yeah.
but these beliefs are often, yeah, very strong, and they are grown from childhood, that this is already a habit you have often for a long time. And it's not only changing the thoughts, but also often changing the habits. Do you have any information about the habits? How can we change that?
Again, that takes time. You have to be aware of it and understand whenever you're doing that habit, and you have to slowly change. You can't just change overnight. It takes time. And you also, like, a lot of women believe that they can change their men, but you can't change anyone. It has to be within yourself. If you want to change, you will. If someone tells you to change, then you're going to do whatever you can to not change. So it has to come from within again. You can't demand that someone changes.
Yeah, so this is really what I also see, like people thinking, okay, we are together now, and then I can start changing him and educate him how to behave in my house, and don't leave the dirty socks in the living room and stuff like that. So, but what I also often see that these are the start, that this is the start of beginning having struggles with each other. So yeah, wanting to change someone else will never go. So this is definitely true. But yeah, going back to, of course, I have to change myself, and this takes time. And when I realized, okay, now I don't have my blocking beliefs anymore, I show up with a different behavior, what would be the next step? What could I do? Like going somewhere, like dressing different, going out to different places, or what could I do?
Are you saying if you're in a relationship or if you're single?
When I'm single, of course.
Yes. Well, again, you have to like do the internal work. You have to realize that if you have habits that you don't think other people will like, then you have to like really change them from within. You can't just do it for somebody else's benefit. You have to do it for your own benefit. So even if it's something like you like to overeat late at night and you've had partners in the past that are annoyed by that or think that it's not healthy, then you have to change your mindset and think that when you're changing your eating habits, you're doing it for yourself, not for somebody else.
So can you give me a little bit of your personal changes? What have you done? Because you said you met a lot of guys, had hundreds of dates, and so perhaps it was not that these guys showed up for I'm missing the English word, by accident, but there was something that you have been in resonance with.
Yeah, so one of the first chapters in my book, I think it's chapter 3, I talk about how a lot of people make assumptions. They see someone and they instantly judge them and make assumptions about who they are and what type of person they are and how you won't be compatible with them. But you have to give everyone a chance. Just because somebody looks like they're not your type, it doesn't mean that they're not. You have to get rid of your judgment and belief that somebody is wrong for you just by how they look or something about them. Like maybe they're too short or they wear like necklaces that you don't like or something superficial. Because I've made that mistake. Like I met a guy and instantly I was like, oh no, like he is not for me. But he came up and started talking to me and I allowed myself to the possibility of him as just a friend. But then we ended up dating and I really liked him. We dated for a while. So it made me realize like you can't just go by what you see. You have to like open yourself up to the possibility of a different type of person than what you're used to.
So at the moment, I also see that it becomes more difficult to really meet people in person. So going out into a restaurant is in most of the places at the moment not possible. So what other possibilities do I have if I would like to meet someone now in this time?
Well, everything is online these days. I have had so many Zoom meetings instead of in-person meetings for this whole year. So everything is online. There's so many different dating apps to meet people, and there are a lot of different Facebook groups for different types of singles in different age groups, religion, regions of the world. So you can find all types of ways to meet people. I think I've interacted with more people this year virtually than I ever have in my life.
Same for me. Yeah. So, and then, okay, perhaps I found someone on Facebook, he looks nice, and we had the first chat on the messenger. And so how do I go on? Like, you have a strategy, like, okay, this would be a perfect way to know each other more closely, or what can I do?
Well, I actually like the fact that you can have video dates these days. because I always, before the pandemic, I used to recommend that people have at least one phone call before meeting in person, because you have to like understand each other's vibes and see if you communicate well. And if not, you don't have to waste time meeting. But with this, you can have multiple virtual dates, and then you don't have to worry about driving and going somewhere where you could possibly be exposed to the virus. And if you don't like the person, you can just turn off your computer and never talk to them again. So it actually saves you a lot of time, money, and energy. And it's also great because usually, or sometimes when people meet from an online dating site, they just jump to physical stuff right away. Like maybe they have sex immediately, or even just kiss, or whatever they do. It's something physical, which can hide the fact that they're not compatible. So they just jump into a relationship with someone that they're incompatible with just because they have really good physical chemistry. But this new way of dating, where you start virtually, is really beneficial, because then you can develop a strong emotional and intellectual connection before meeting in person. And then the physical part, it could be there or it could not, but you're not putting yourself at risk by having deep conversations over the computer. It's a lot more relaxed, and it's a better way to get to know someone at first.
What does make two people compatible? So what are criteria that I know, okay, this guy would match with myself?
Well, I believe there are 4 aspects of compatibility: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So physical does have to be in person. Of course, you can see someone in a picture and feel attracted, but you have to see if there's that in-person chemistry, which needs to be done in person. And then emotional compatibility has to do with your heart, like your emotions and feelings, and that can be done by talking or having video chats. So that's a really good start to get to know someone and see if you're compatible that way. Your mental compatibility is your brain. So do you have deep intellectual discussions? Are you on the same wavelength when it comes to logic and understanding of things? Then you might be compatible mentally. And then spiritually, if you have that spiritual connection, then you might have found your soulmate, because that's the hardest to define, but it's kind of a combination of everything. Like you just feel this magnetic pull towards this person, and you do have that, the other compatibility, physical, emotional, and mental. And then spiritual is like the final piece of the puzzle, that if you have that connection, you guys will be unstoppable together.
Wow, this sounds great. And I can imagine that a lot of people do have this desire to really find their soulmate. And going a little bit more into detail, like when you say they must be emotional compatible, what are these? If they have the same feelings at the same time, or how can I imagine to be compatible with someone on the emotional base?
So you don't have to have the same emotions or the same level of emotions. You just have to be understanding of each other. If one person is very sensitive and then the other person is just understanding and accepting of that, then that can work. If you're able to have like deep heart-to-hearts where you really connect emotionally and maybe reminisce about your childhood and talk about important events from your life, it's a good start to developing that emotional bond. It could take a while. It could take a few months to really feel like you have that emotional connection. But once you do have it, it's a really powerful thing.
What I often experience in my coaching is that people who had experiences of a bad relationship ships are somehow closing their heart, like they have this heart wall around them, and they feel, okay, so I'm not sure if I want to open myself again to another person because I had experiences that were so strong and hurt so much. So what can people do that are still in this kind of mood that they are not, yeah, it's not kind of willing, but they fear that they can't open up themselves again like that?
Well, that's where they have to do the deep work on themselves. They have to figure out why they're stuck, why they're holding back. You can't do that with a partner. You have to do that yourself to figure out like what your limiting beliefs are, or like what's keeping you from opening up to someone else.
Yeah, often it is because there have been experiences like that, like you have been not treated very well or not been respected with your feelings, or yeah, something happened. And so how can I overcome this? Like, these have been real experiences, so they are in my memories. And
you might need time for yourself then. If you or somebody else is going through a lot of like traumatic experiences, then you have to give yourself time to grieve and get over whatever happened to you. It's not, again, it doesn't happen overnight. You have to go through the grieving process and completely accept it. And like, you can be angry, that's okay. You can be angry, you can be upset about it. The first chapter in my book, I actually talk about what happens if you have a traumatic breakup and you find yourself single again. So I say to go through the Kubler-Ross 5 stages of grief. So first you're going to deny it, and you're going to like deny that it's happening. And then, let's see if I remember the order. Denial, I have it in my book here.
Open the book, let's see it.
My book. So in chapter 1, so first you're going to go through denial, then anger, and you're just going to be like really like pissed off about what happened to you. Then bargaining. You might bargain with yourself or with the other person, or whatever the situation is. You're going to try to like come up with some kind of compromise so you're not suffering so much. The next is depression. You might fall into a really deep depression and not want to talk to anybody or go out and do anything. And then finally, acceptance. And there's no time frame for how long this takes. It completely varies. It could take a day, or it could take a year, or maybe even longer. But to get to that stage of acceptance could take time. So if you are suffering from some kind of traumatic experience, whether it's from your childhood or from a recent breakup, you have to allow yourself to go through those stages of grief before you can open yourself up to somebody new.
Yeah, I can understand that totally. So often it is like, yeah, it is, you have someone at your side for a while, and then this person is leaving, and there's a kind of hole and gap at the moment, because now you have to fill it with something else, with other routines, or even feeling the heartbreak, often being alone, especially in these times, if people cannot connect to go out to a friend and tell about the situation. So do you know some support that people could have in these moments?
Yeah, you could hire a relationship coach like me. If you want more, like deeper work, you can get a therapist or a counselor, somebody to talk to. If you don't want to do that, you can always talk to close friends or family members. You just need people that will be a support system for you. You don't face this by yourself. Like, if you're doing it alone, then you might just suffer longer. So it's important to talk about it and express your feelings with people you trust.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, yes. So I hope that this also helps a lot of people that are in this state right now, that somehow they lost a partner or someone left them, that they really go out and ask for help, if it is a friend or a therapist or a coach like you, and not try to handle this all alone, because not even this will take time, but going into a depression because of this reason, and being in this pandemic situation at the moment will even perhaps make it worse. So really go out and call for help. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next step you said is about being mentally on the same level. So can you go also in more details about that?
Yeah, it could be about like intellectual discussions you have. Maybe you like to talk about politics together, or like I like to do logic puzzles and logic games. So for me, I do that by myself, and it's also fun for me to do with a partner because it gets our brains going and we feel this connection on a mental level. So it's very stimulating for me and sometimes for other people too. Um, I was dating a guy years ago and we were doing a puzzle together, which takes some like mental skill. And I was watching him and he didn't understand just like how two pieces fit together. And as I was watching him, I realized that we were not on the same level intellectually because he just didn't understand how pieces fit together. And we still continued dating, but I was very aware of the fact that we were not mentally compatible.
Okay. And the last level, the spiritual level, I think this is for most of the people something they perhaps never had this experience, so they don't even have any idea how this could feel and or how this would work out. Can you give more details about that?
Yeah, so part of it has to do with religion. So if you both have the same belief in a higher power, whether it's God or something else, then that can get you connected based on religion. But it's more than that. It's sort of like a deep connection where it's like it has to do with chemistry kind of, where you're in person and you just feel this energy between you two. You just feel connected and almost as if you've known this person in a previous life. Like that's where like the true like soulmate experience comes from, where you just feel this pull and like there are these unseen sparks between you two. Um, it's just a really powerful thing that cannot be described really. You just have to experience it to understand.
Yeah, I hope a lot of people will experience that when they have read your book or have been in your workshop. So who are the people who influenced you positively to open your mind, open your emotions, and open your soul?
Well, I would say my parents. I grew up from in a like a very good household. My parents always supported me and believed in my dreams and just like gently pushed me along the way to succeed in whatever I wanted to do. So it was actually my mom's push to write a book. She always told me that I had so many experiences and so much knowledge about dating and love. And from over 10 years ago, she kept telling me to write a book. So it worked out that when there was a pandemic this year, I had extra time on my hands. So I decided that now is the time to write a book about all my knowledge and dating experiences.
Yeah, so this would be really interesting to see, okay, how people did use their time for themselves, you really created something special, and perhaps other people could use this time, we're still in the situation of the pandemic, to create a new relationship, for example, using the time, learning about themselves, and going into the new year with perhaps finding the soulmate. This would be perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I wanted this book to come out. It's coming out February 2nd, which is just before Valentine's Day too, to hopefully give some people that extra belief that the one for them, their soulmate, is just around the corner. They just have to like put in the work to find that person.
Okay, so if people are now interested in your work, where can they find you, and where can they get the book? And can you give some information for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, so I have a website, lovelaughleisure.com, and people can email me too, Rachel@lovelaughleisure.com. And the book, Date to Find Your Soulmate, will be available on Amazon February 2nd. You can get it as an ebook. The first week it launches, you can get it for 99 cents. So I recommend that if you want the ebook for 99 cents, or you can also get the paperback or hardback. And then I'll have a link to my book on my website, again, lovelaughleisure.com. And if you want more information, or if you are interested in my 8-week coaching program, you can also go to my website and contact me about that. So there are lots of ways through my website or Amazon. I have a Facebook page. You can look up Love, Laugh, Leisure, or I believe the tagline is helping singles attract love. And then I'm on Twitter. My Twitter name is Love Coach for All, because Love, Laugh, Leisure wouldn't fit. And I'm also on Instagram, Love, Laugh, Leisure, Pinterest. I'm on LinkedIn, my full name, Rachel Scheer. So there are lots of ways to find me if you're interested in learning more about me.
Great. So I will put the links down in the description so people could easily click there and reach you. Perfect.
Great.
So last but not least, do you have some tips you can give the audience how they can find their soulmate, or what they can do to step into a new love?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, know who you are. Like, know exactly who you are and be confident in your own skin. And then along with that, just be the best version of yourself. Like, put out positive energy and try to stay upbeat and happy about whatever situation you're in, because you are in the right place in your life, whether you believe that or not. And love yourself completely. And that goes along with it. Like, you just need to know yourself and love yourself and be proud and confident of who you are. And last but not least, buy my book, Date to Find Your Soulmate, coming out February 2nd, 2021 on Amazon. It's a really quick read. There are 20 chapters, but they're short and they're entertaining. There's some funny stories in there about my personal journey in life, and lots of great lessons and tips so you can find your soulmate.
Wow, this is beautiful. And I'm sure a lot of people are now looking forward to find their soulmate. And thank you so much for being my guest today and giving all the audience this insights of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me here.
Okay, bye. Thank you for listening or watching my podcast, Holistic Creators. If you want to know more about how I can help and support you, have a look at my website, spiritualchangemaker.com. You can also join my Facebook group, Spiritual Changemakers Community. Stay tuned for the next episode by subscribing to this channel. And you also can check the previous episodes.